Hey, how's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another GTA Online video. My name is Saintsfan, and today I wanted to continue the conversation we were having yesterday regarding these new F1 cars and how there's actually a lot more that goes into them than meets the eye. And it's something that I don't think Rockstar actually mentions anywhere. It's just something that, unless you're either watching this video or you just find out on your own by spending a bunch of money, you're not gonna know. And we're starting off here in the LSC because I want to just show you guys. I have this entirely kitted out with like the lowest or the most expensive thing you can put on as far as like the bodywork goes. The roof, we have that. The spoiler, that's the last one. Transmission and all that stuff is all the way up. So this is a fully kitted out R88. And I want to show you guys because we're going to go into the airport here. Something that happens on these two F1 cars that doesn't happen on any other vehicle in the game. And what that is the fact that the customization options actually affect the speed and traction of the car. But you wouldn't know this because when you actually switch the options in LSC, it doesn't change any of the bars. But in this video, I will be showing you guys and explaining which each part does, and I guess maybe which is the better one for you. So we're in the R88, and I'll demonstrate it maybe in the PR4, but the same thing does apply to that vehicle, and I believe it'll apply to any other open wheel vehicle that comes out if there's any new ones, in the future. But we're going to take a look at the speedometer. It's the number in the middle of the screen. I'll maybe zoom in here. And like I said, we have everything fully maxed out. So we're just going to go down the airport and we're going to see what speed we end up getting. So we're at 100, pushing up to about 110, 113. Will we hit 114? Okay. Any higher? 114. All right. 114 seems to be the highest. We just hit 115 at the very, very end. So 115, but mainly 114 going down the stroke. And again, that's everything fully kitted out. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change just one of the options. I'm going to go to the spoiler section. And instead of doing this large rectangular wing, we're going to do the medium cut off wings. We're just going to go one lower. And then we're going to go see what happens. So again, we're going to pay attention to that top speed, and let's see how fast we go now. Just hit 100, 105, 110. Will we hit, I don't know if we'll actually hit it, 111? And maybe we'll hit 112? Nope, 111. So that's actually significantly slower. We went from about 114, 115 to 111 simply by changing the spoiler. And like I said, this doesn't happen on any other vehicle apart from the other F1 car. So what's happening here? And I'm not going to go through each different option because that's why I have these graphs, which I'll show you guys. So these were made, I believe, by the GTA Forums user Gaffa. In the game files, like, it explains this, but this is just a nicer graph comparing everything. You can see on this is the R88 graph, we have the two cosmetic options. You have the front bumper option, and then you have the spoiler option. And then next to each one of these options is a number. Now, before we get into the numbers, at the bottom, he does say that the higher the number equals less speed and more traction, and that you can mix and match for your own, preference. So the higher the number, that means you're going to get less speed and more traction. And let's take a look if this is true. So we just changed the one spoiler option. At the bottom right, the large rectangular wing, it only has a number of 1, whereas the medium cut off wing has a number of 1.6. So according to the footage you just saw, that makes sense because for whatever reason, the final one, the large rectangular wing, only has a number of 1, so that means it should have a higher top speed but less traction, where the one we just did, the medium cutoff wing, it should have much lower top speed, but its traction will be significantly increased. And that is the case. Now, it is weird. And I guess we don't know if it's a bug that this final one has the number of 1 and not maybe like 1.7 or something to continue the increase. But that is what's happening. This is the secret sort of hidden feature that Rockstar really didn't explain much when they released these vehicles. Now, the unfortunate part, and you might have seen this when we went into the pay and spray, you have to rebuy these options every single time. Like once you buy it once, it's not like you have it forever. You have to keep rebuying them. So you might want to take a look at these graphs and figure out, all right, do I want more speed? Do I want less traction? Or do I want more traction, less speed? Am I going to try and find a balance here? Like maybe I'll just pick the middle ones of each. I mean, you did see the amount of speed you lose going from like the 1 number to 1.6. That sounds like a big gap, 1 to 1.6, but in reality, it's only about 4-ish miles an hour. However, I'll play this clip. The traction is significantly increased. So this is the R88 again at a different airport up in the military base. And this is with that large rectangular wing, the final one. And you can see when we go ahead and turn, our car spins out because we're turning too much and the traction just isn't there. We're going to go ahead in this next clip, see what it looks like with the medium cutoff wing. So the one with the slower top speed. You can see when we go around the corner, it's night and day different. With this particular spoiler option, you are glued onto the road and it took that turn no problem. So the traction is actually maybe a little bit more significant than the speed. But that is an extreme example, because going back to the comparison chart, you can just read through these. Most of them only go up by like 0.05 or at the most like 0.1. And now what's also really odd, if you want to take the wing off for the front bumper, you can see on the left there, it actually drops it by 0.5. But dropping it that low, that means you probably have a ton of speed, but almost no traction, which is probably not good for these vehicles. You definitely want a little traction. So I'd almost say never to use that no wing option. The same thing actually applies to the PR4 though, and here is the chart for it. And I'll leave these pictures in the description below if you guys want to take a look at them. But the same thing applies. The higher the number, the less speed and more traction you're going to get. Now by default, the PR4 compared to the R88 has more traction and less top speed, but you could balance it out, maybe put on, one of the options here that bumps up those speed numbers since it's already got a pretty good default traction amount. Now, what I'm going to do here on the PR4 to demonstrate this is we're going to take the extreme. So the first example I'll show you guys is with the numbers trying to be the highest. So if just taking a look at the graph, I'll use the legendary front wing with the extreme wing, and that'll give us a total number of, 3.45. My math is correct. So again, this is all upgraded, but we're going to go to front bumpers, and then we already have the legendary front wing equipped, and then we're going to go to the spoiler option, and we already have the extreme wing equipped. Now you can see there's just a side note, there are some other things like body works and stuff. These don't affect the this speed and traction. So it's only the front bumpers and it's only the spoilers. All right, so this speedometer is a little bit easier to read. And again, just to reiterate, the numbers are the highest, so we should be seeing less speed and more traction. So let's just see what the top speed is with this. Already at 100, 101, 102, already starting to slow down. 105, 106. Will we even hit 110, 107? We might hit it. No. All right. So, okay. Well, we just broke the freaking front bumper, but 107 was the top speed, which makes sense given the fact that we're supposed to be seeing a lower top speed and a higher traction amount. Now, it is harder to test the traction, but we're going to attempt to see if there's any differences just driving it along this road. We're going to try to make this turn here. And we made that pretty easily. And we went pretty fast going around it. So maybe that just gives you an idea of what the traction is like on this super high car. We're gonna make it again, and actually no, we're not, because we're gonna crash. That's the problem. You have to relearn when you're supposed to turn. But yeah, so you guys saw the first one. Basically, the traction is really, really good. Although you just saw there, we kind of flew up in the air. If you lose your parts in free roam, your car will not perform as well, just like it does in races. And what's really weird, so I don't have a front bumper here, but we're going to go in here to the LSC, and it's free. Like, I don't get charged anything to have it repaired, so I don't know. Very weird. Now we're going to do the complete opposite and choose the lowest number possible. So stock is at 1, but if we choose on the front bumpers, if we choose the low front wing, this has a value of 0.75, which is the lowest you can get on the front bumper option. And then we're going to go to the spoiler option, and the lowest one we can get is the shortened wing at 0.8. So we have the lowest amount. I think that's what that's 1.5-ish. So it's a significant decrease from the 3.4 we saw, like the total number. So let's go ahead and drive out. And in this test, the speed should be higher, but the traction should be, I would think, significantly less. So let's just see what happens when we're driving down this road. I mean, you saw how smooth it was with the other options. Let's see if we can make this turn here. Ah, we cannot. We just slammed right into the wall. So right off the bat, traction definitely is noticeably worse. Now let's see how much better the top speed is. So if you remember last time we hit 107, let's see what we hit this time. Already at 100, already at 105, 107 already, 110, 111. So this is significantly higher. 114, 115. Will we get any higher than 115? Maybe 116. So 117. All right, so, and again, this isn't using the Curse boost, which does increase top speed a little bit more, but 117, so a full 10-mile-an-hour difference between the lowest option and the highest option. So that's, I think, the like the biggest gap between any of these options. So that is what it's going to come down to, that you have to decide, do you want the higher traction or the higher top speed? Now, the unfortunate part, like I was mentioning, is that you have to buy each option if you do want to test it, since like it doesn't save that you have already purchased it. And obviously top speed is a number it's pretty recognized. It's like, all right, I want the highest top speed. Traction, on the other hand, is a little bit more subjective, and it is hard for you to see, you know, what sort of traction you would want just from a video. That's something you almost have to drive and test yourself, which might suck because you have to spend, you know, a couple $100,000 testing out the different options on these vehicles. But yeah, hopefully this video helps you guys out and explains this secretive feature that Rockstar implemented that they didn't really explain much themselves. Now, the one final thing I will say before I end this video is that, and this is the unfortunate part, seems like none of this actually matters in racing. So the same guy who made the graphs, he says, at least at the moment, the front and rear wing doesn't actually matter in races. You could have, you know, those two options on your custom PR4, but in the race, they only have like the stock value. So the car will perform exactly as stock. The parts will still be on your car, but no matter what you do or see, it's just going to be set to the stock value. So pretty much everything I've mentioned in this video is only important for free mode, which kind of defeats the whole purpose, because these cars are mainly meant for the races. And it would be really cool if you had all these different options and different strategies going into the races, because you'd have to decide, all right, man, do I want to have higher top speed on this track, or, you know, more traction? But none of that strategy sort of comes into play because Rockstar seemingly has everything default back to that stock value. I guess with that being said, though, that's going to end the video. Let me know in the comment section, actually, if you've been testing around with this, like, what do you find to be the best option? For me, in free mode, I almost like the traction option a little bit more, just so I have more control over my car and I'm not hitting all the traffic and all the NPCs. But that's just my opinion. Let me know yours. Thank you all for watching. Please drop it a like the video if you did enjoy. Subscribe for more GTA Online content. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next one.